Hey, everyone. Okay, so it's a little early in the morning. You're here with Gold Stacy, aka Oya Gold. I'm about to eat this almond and this almond butter biscuit, right? And on today's episode of Why Are We Like This, right? I have been thinking about this for a couple weeks. That's why I took a few days behind, because I was like, we need to be talking about certain things. There's certain things we just got to talk about. And in our community, when we talk about these certain things, hopefully there's a desired effect. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some changed behavior. That is the only purpose in me recording these. For real, y'all. It's not always going to be entertaining. It's not always going to be feel good. Sometimes it's going to be some stuff that makes us feel uncomfortable. Sometimes I'm going to talk about things that we don't necessarily even want to talk about. But we need to talk about it because it's happening. It's going down in our community. And if we don't talk about it, which sometimes talking about it is not about just ruminating or just, stewing in it. It could be about bringing awareness. Sometimes you ever be a part of a conversation, and by be a part of a conversation, I mean you eavesdropping. 2 people, 3 people are talking. It has nothing to do with you, but what you hear, the information you hear helps you. Like, what? They having a sale down at the Piggly Wiggly? Shoot, let me get on down there. You know what I'm saying? It could be any little thing that you hear as far as information that helps you. It brought awareness. It wasn't your conversation. You might not have even, should have been listening. But you just happened to be listening. And the fact that you was listening helps. So when I'm talking and when I'm doing this, what I'm doing, running my gums, bumping my gums, however you want to put it, it's not just to be bumping gums. It's because there's certain information that I realize a lot of us don't have access to, don't know. And for those who don't care, they're not going to listen anyway. So this is not for them. This is for those who care, who listen, who's like, oh my goodness, a black woman, a melanated woman, a brown woman is speaking. She's saying something. Let me tune in and see what she's saying, because it may affect me. As we all know, statistics show that black women like to give helpful information. Black women are nurturing collectively. Black women will show up and show out for you and your cause. So I just feel like if that's true statements, which we know they are, when black women show up to participate in anything, it just raises it to heights untold of. Like, you just woo. Shit is flying, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so in today's episode, let's get to it, okay? Let's just get to it. In today's episode of Why Are We Like This, we are talking about, oh God, I feel like I need a piece of my biscuit, like, I'm sorry, y'all. And I've never tried this type of biscuit before. Yeah, I'm procrastinating. I'm stalling. In today's episode of Why Are We Like This, we're going to ask the question, in our community, why when somebody tell you they being touched inappropriately, why when somebody tell you somebody beating them up, why when somebody tell you, especially if it's a child, that they being harmed, hurt, or abused, you want to act like the shit ain't happening. Or you want to act like it's their fault. Or you want to act like they ain't said nothing to you and it ain't your business, so why you need to worry about it? Why are we like this? Why do we not, why do we not create safe space for ourselves? I'll say that. I'll put it like that. This biscuit ain't bad. It's a Natural Valley biscuit almond butter. Okay, not bad. Why we do this to each other? Like, it's in my own family. I don't know if it's in your family, but I know it's in my family. Somebody touched them as a child And everybody want to be like, well, why, what you mean touch them as a child? What you mean, like, what you mean? Why you saying this? And Uncle so-and-so, he's a pillar of the community, or Auntie Sue, she would never. But the child is telling you that it has happened, or the adult is telling you, when I was a child, this happened to me. It's one thing I understand. Some of us be like, children be lying, children exaggerate. Okay. I will humor that. But a grown adult, what would a grown man gain by telling anybody that his uncle or any other male figure played in his booty, gave him head, made him do something sexual to him? Like, what would a grown man profit? A grown heterosexual man, I gotta say that because we have sick individuals in our community who use sexual misconduct as a way to grow their sexual prowess. You hear those stories too with some men or young men who have been sexually manipulated by women older than them when they were minors. And they talk about these stories like, yo, that's why I'm so good in bed, because I started when I was young. Dude, that is not normal. If you was under the age of 18, 16, 15, 13, and not engaging in sexual behavior with people your own age, meaning you 13 years old and somebody 45, 35, 22 is having sex with you, that is not only statutory rape, but that is abuse. You're a child. We don't like to talk about it like that because there's children out there who be going after grown folks. Let's just put that all in the same bag. People who be abusing each other or abusing themselves with sex or what we call adult behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like, this stuff is happening in our community both ways. You have young people who like, I'm going to get me an older man, girl. I'm finna go get me this older woman, man. Or older people like, man, look at that little girl over there. She look good. Look at that young boy over there. I bet like, this is happening. And we're acting like it's not. And then when someone says it has happened, we go into like, what, who, what, where, when? Like, we act like we don't understand. And I'm trying to understand, like, y'all, this is serious. This is serious. Absolutely serious. Like, what are we going to do? Okay, like, this is not trying to be dramatic, but what are we going to do? Why are we like this? Why do we victimize ourselves and our own? And then when, those who have maybe victimized themselves, the young folks going after older people, and then they get their heart broke, get STDs, get babies, get all kinds of stuff in most cases that they're not prepared to deal with. And then they get older and they talk about it and they're like, that older man abused me. That older woman abused me. And then they want to talk about it. And then you're like, well, you was just a fast little girl. Oh, you was just a bad little boy. That's what you get. And it's no soft place to land and say, hey, you didn't know no better. Clearly, the adults in your life was not teaching you better, and you had no real examples to go by. You had no one fighting for your young life to say that's not cool, and they should not be dealing with this type of stuff. A lot of us do not fight for our youth. We dress them up in pretty clothes. We parade them around on the internet, in life. Look at little Susie or little Tommy. I done got them dressed up. We going to church and they looking good and their edges is gelled down and he got a fresh haircut. My 4-year-old baby got the most exciting thing for you is that your 4-year-old son got a haircut. Not that your 4-year-old son may be hanging out with, certain people because you done left the child wherever you want to leave the child as a young parent or even as an older parent. And the things that's happened to this child that 4 years old, they probably can't even speak on yet. And then when they 18 or 19 or 20 or 16 or however old they are, when they say, yo, when you used to leave me at that barbershop to get my hair cut at 4 and be gone way past the time I got my hair cut, and they used to take me in the back and watch cartoons with me, that man was touching on me, mama. And then you be like, no, not Mr. So-and-so. He gave me the free haircuts. He used to bring by, remember he used to come by the house and he was like, yeah, and he would be molesting me. And you would leave, mommy. This is conversations that are happening in real life, in households. And what mothers and fathers and people in positions of adulthood when this was happening are saying they cannot believe it, or What? Maybe you was wrong. Maybe you mistaken. How can a child be mistaken in someone touching them? Right? When you go on YouTube and you see people, adults are telling their story. Not the few percent that, they like, oh, it proved they was lying. Or it proved that, that's few cases. That happens, right? But that's not the majority. The majority of the time when someone say they be in touch or was touched, that's what the hell happened. So why are we like this? What happened to us as a collective people that when a young person or anybody says someone was sexually hurting me or abusing me or physically domestic violence me, whatever, anything like that, physical harm, whether it be in the sexual nature or just in the violent nature, someone was touching me, one, without my permission, and two, in a way that was not wanted. Why are we like this when that person says this happened? We want to doubt them. We want to ask them 11 questions on details. Where they touch you at? Did you like it? Oh, had it ever happened before? Who else did? You asking all these private, probing questions, maybe re-traumatizing this person, but never saying, did you tell someone else? What is the statute of limitations? Let me look this up right quick. Who did it? What, can you remember some days, some dates? Okay, let me write this down for you. Have you ever told anyone else? Have you ever told the police? Does your mother know if you're not telling your parents for the first time? Oh my God, come here. Can I hug you? Is it okay if I hug you and say this should have never happened to you? Is it okay if I call someone I know who can help press charges or counsel you through these are appropriate responses. Not the response of, wait, what? How you know he did that? You sure? You sure it was your stepdaddy who did this to you? Yeah. Like I was saying, you go on YouTube and you see people telling their story. I have a family member who's been in the situation, and I'm not going to use any names except for one, and we're going to get into that name because that name represents a lot of names that we know of in celebrity status or in public status. And when someone says that someone in public status, specifically in our community, when we say a black man of public stature has done something, we want to go back to instantly, well, they be lying on us when we get to a certain level. The fuck? Kind of dumb shit. That may be true. But before we can deal with someone or his, because it's usually men, before we can deal with his celebrity status, could we deal with the fact that some children or some people are saying they was victimized by this person? Could we deal with that first? I mean, I'm looking at victimization versus celebrity status. It's not easy. Let me deal with these victims first, and then we're going to get to your celebrity status. You know what I'm saying? Because the community is what provides you with your celebrity status. So if the community is all on your Johnson because you're the celebrity, and this person or this baby says, well, I was hurt by this celebrity, I just think we should look at the hurt first. If it comes up not true, we can say it was not true. But let's have what we call due diligence and deal with this claim first, not in the realm of celebrity, but in the realm of, oh my goodness, a person saying they're being victimized, hurt. And if it's a child that's saying they was sexually molested, I'm not saying one sin is greater than the other, but damn, that one sin of child molestation could imprint on a person's life so that they are never going to be a valuable or positive part of the community, let alone the collective that they are a part of. Let me say that again. When sexual trauma or domestic traumas happen to our youth or young people, minors, children, babies, the likelihood that they will grow up and be a participating, positive, engaging part of their collective community or society is lessened or none. Which means now we have a zombie in the community, or we have another rapist in the community, or another abuser in the community, or another person who's going to steal, lie, cheat, feel low, do fucked up shit, hurt the community, all because another person did that to them. And if they may have asked for help because of poverty or ignorance, the family doesn't help. So that family now is fostering something in our society, in our collective, that's going to add more harm. So yes, let's take a moment and deal with the fact that a person in our community or a child is saying someone has violated me emotionally, physically, sexually, mentally. Hell, even conversationally. We deal with it when we know we got certain people in the community who gossip. And what you say, don't talk to her because she gossip. And you'll say it loud in front of that person. You do not care. You be like, they be gossiping. Since you run your mouth too much, I'm not talking to you. No, we do that, right? But sometimes what we also do, we give that same treatment to people like myself. I've been the brunt of this, where you speaking on someone who has hurt you, lied to you, lied on you, stolen from you, abused you in the community. Not a person who don't look like you, a person who look like you, got the same, what they call nappy hair like you, get ashy after a shower just like you. You know what I'm saying? Got the same thick lips just like you. And when you tell the collective community, this person has hurt me, lied on me, stolen from me, mistreated me, we say, toughen up. Or we say, what did you do to allow that? Or we say, well, that's, how it goes in the world of, energy. There's no victims. We say all kind of dumb shit to each other versus, are you okay? How can I help? Is there someone I know that can help? Meaning we don't really take care of each other as much as we claim we do. We might, we got all these memes and everything up there on like, what's the best kind of girl to have? Light skin versus dark skin. This man versus that man. King versus peasant. Queen versus thought. We got all this shit going on, y'all. But what we don't have going collectively is memes about if a child or a person in the community is saying they're being violated sexually, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. Let's take a moment to listen to what's happening so that we do not allow poison to fester in our community. So I'm going to say that one name because this particular individual impacted my family unit a few different ways. Through the children, through marriage, through adults, through me, through conversation, through interaction, witnessing interactions that were definitely pedophile of nature, that were definitely, questionable of nature, that's definitely not in alignment with what the fuck was actually being taught during these classes or what was being presented to the world. And that is a name called Dr. York. Some of y'all listening to this may know who this person is. Some of y'all may not. You could Google it. You could not Google it. The point is, I've reached such a point in my healing where I can talk about it freely and openly, and I don't necessarily need anyone to be like, are you okay? How did this happen? I don't need that because I went through therapy. I did my due diligence as a person who has been victimized. Okay? So when you have been victimized, there's certain things you need to do. I'll put that out there because then you become your own perpetrator, right? So I did what I needed to do. Y'all, I was on the internet the other day and I seen, like I said, this Dr. York has impacted my family in several ways. And I'm on the internet and I'm watching a family member talk about what happened to them via, the Dr. York situation. It's on YouTube and people are in the comments and the stuff they are saying. Grown people in the comments are saying stuff like, this person lying, this person know that never happened to them, this person was this old when they say that happened, they don't remember. Like the comments of adults to another adult saying someone in a position of leadership abused me sexually. And your comments was like, it was no one that was like, wow. It was like out of 20 comments, y'all, out of 20 comments made by adults, it might have been like 3 people, including my comments, saying this did happen or we should look into it. Everyone else was saying this person, he's lying on Dr. York. This person was never abused by Dr. York. This person, and these are people who we would say as those who took the Dr. York journey, we put it that way, who started through Ansar Allah, through Brooklyn Tabernacle, through Philadelphia, through certain areas and locations. We was there at the beginning, at the inception. We have people who call themselves Nawabians who never met Dr. York, who read some books, who thought the information sounded real good. Let me get some of my butter cracker, my almond butter biscuit. It's not bad. It's pretty good. I'm having a bite of this biscuit so I can take a breath. Because these types of subjects, believe it or not, are not the easiest to have. These type of discussions, as necessary as they are to bring awareness, are they are very, very challenging. Like, challenging. And not challenging because, for me personally, like, I'm going through it again. It's challenging because to witness that someone is saying in our community, someone of leadership or high status has abused me sexually in this particular situation. And people who have never met the person who was victimized, or even met the person who they said did the victimizing, they be like, that didn't happen. But you never met neither one of these parties. How you fix your mouth to say it didn't happen? Who are you to say this didn't happen? We do this. We saw this with the Bill Cosby thing. When they was like, Bill Cosby is drugging women's. Bill Cosby is out here, the pudding pop dad, the father we all wish we had, is out here drugging women and sexually doing stuff or whatever, coercing them, however you want to put it. It was in the news, look it up. There were so many people, not just black men or black women, black men and black women, who was like, these people are lying. They became detectives. They became lawyers, and they were going through documents on YouTube and newspaper clippings, and they were looking at these people's social medias and Instagrams and deducing that, hey, this is not true. The Pudding Pop King did not do this to these women. It didn't matter how many women said it happened. It didn't matter how many other celebrities were like, man, this shit been going down for years, man. Bill been on it. Bill been on it. He been on one. Okay? So when other celebrities was like hinting that, yo, this, not only has Bill been on it, but this is somewhat a normal environment in our Hollywood environment, right? In certain circles. As well as the victims themselves who did not even press charges but spoke up and said, I witnessed it, or, this happened to me, but because of statute of limitations, I can't say anything. Really, it doesn't matter. My story is not going to be, but I'm going to tell my story because it may help people see that this is something that's happening. Y'all was clowning these women. Y'all was tearing them apart. Y'all was like, she lying. She knows she won it. Y'all was making people into liars and victims or thoughts or whatever you want to call it. The point is, what I'm saying is, and I'm hoping I'm not just sound like I'm rambling because I'm not upset. I want to know why we like this. Why are we like this with each other? A child or a woman or a man says somebody sexually abused them or hurt them, and your first go-to response is, well, are you sure that's what happened? What? I remember a few years ago, like not even a few, maybe 10 years ago, because this was when I have a 14-year-old daughter, and she would have been like a 4-year-old, 3-year-old at the time, 3 or 2 years old. And I was working with this director at the time. And I learned so much from this director. I was working with this director. And I was in a abusive marriage at the time as well. There was a lot going on. My 20s was so dramatic. Anyway, so I'm in this really horrible marriage and abusive situation. And I'm just trying to do what, we learn to do. You stick it out. You figure we're going to outgrow this rough patch. You hold on to your man. All that. This is before I had knowledge of self or really understood what the knowledge I did have about myself was actually about. And at the time, I'm doing a lot of acting. I'm doing a lot of performance art at the same time. So I'm working with this particular, director and actors, trainer person. And I'm making some good progress. I'm getting good work done. We making things happen. It's an exciting time for me outside of my home. Inside the home, it's a little challenging. But outside the home, I'm feeling really good about life. And there comes a situation, of course, where the violence in my house escalates. And, I talked to this person. I talked to this director about it. And, it's a weird meeting. And I feel all of a sudden instantly like regretting talking to them about it because the questions they're asking are not like helpful, loving questions. They're like probing, making me feel uncomfortable. What does this make you feel? And how do you think as an actor you can use this? And it was like, as an actor, he beat me up in real life. I don't want to, like, what are you talking about? It was a challenging conversation. And I'll never forget that, upon taking me back home or wherever we was going, I think we was going back to my house, dropping me off at my house or my car. I was going ready to go home. The lunch meeting was over. And he's like, let me take you to your car. So he's driving me to my car. And he literally says to me, after I just tell him about my husband, his ex-husband at the time is beating me up and blah, blah, blah. This person proceeds to tell me, so what is it going to take for me and you to get in bed? What we got to do to make that happen? I did not feel good about this conversation. I did not like it. I wasn't to the point where I was so broken down where I was just like dealing with it. I just looked at him like, what are you talking about? And I made some type of snide remark like, you get us an audience and we can make a movie out of it and let's get paid and do it. Like I said something like that in my confusion, in my anger. But I remember I didn't feel broken down like, oh my God, this has happened to me. I remember feeling angry. I remember feeling like my trust was betrayed. And I remember just feeling angry because in that moment I realized that I could no longer work with this person. And we were doing such good work, and it was really positive impact on my career, I felt, on my sense of esteem, my sense of self-image. I was doing something I was really good at. And now I'm in this environment around this clearly a predator, because who says that to someone after they just tell you that someone has beaten them up and talked down to them and is controlling them? You're asking them, and I'm married. I'm a married woman in this abusive situation, and you're asking me about when me and you going to have sex, and you're in a position of leadership and creative, power in my life, and you're teaching me all this stuff, and this is how you coming at me? And I remember I talked to someone about it. I talked to a woman about it in my community and told her this was happening. Because I didn't feel like, oh, I can't say this. And I felt like, what should I do? Like, is this normal? Well, like, what is going on? And this is an older man. And so I'm going to talk to this older woman because I don't have no guidance right now. I'm a young married woman in my community, and I don't have any real mentors. I don't have any real guidance. And every time I talk about this person abusing me, it's like people say, well, what are you doing? What are you doing to deserve? What do you deserve it? Is it the way you do the dishes? Is it the way as you talking back to him? That was the general response. So when I talked to this other woman, older woman, about not the abuse that was happening in my marriage, but what this community leader said to me. And this woman said, I think it's in hindsight 2020, I get it. I get it because I have knowledge of self now. But when you're talking to someone who don't have knowledge of self, what this woman said to me was, I don't know, sis. I just feel like you need to look at yourself and you need to figure out what part you played in it. Like, what did you do to attract this? What did you do to warrant this behavior? And I remember looking at her like, what? Because I really respected this person. I saw her as a strong woman of color. I saw her as intelligent. And when she was telling me, like, basically it was my fault and I had done something to attract this, I just didn't understand. Like, I just really didn't get what was being said to me. And, of course, those relationships broke down. Me and that woman began to talk now a little bit more. But it's funny, when I brought that up to her, she said she didn't even remember that conversation. Why are we like this? I came to someone in need of wanting to know how to handle this, and I was told it was my fault. And then years later, upon talking to this person about the situation, they don't even remember a young woman in the community saying a leader in the community has treated them in a way that was inappropriate, misconduct. You don't even remember. So how many of us have been even told of things from children or other individuals about being abused or being sexually mistreated, and then you don't even remember when it comes back around and this person is saying, yeah, I did talk to you about this. Your answer is, I don't even remember. I don't have no recollection of this conversation, which means you weren't even present for the conversation. You wasn't invested in the conversation. So I'm saying this to say, if you are in a leadership position in our community as brown people, melanated people, black people, if you will, African Americans, West Indian Americans, brown people, if you are in a position of leadership, if you're in a position of of community activism, if you're in a position of being a community mother, a community father, a community uncle, meaning everyone comes to you, everyone confides in you. If you are not able to have this position, you stop taking these stories, stop listening, tell them you're unavailable. Because it's a disservice to the community when people are coming to you in their earnest need, and then you give them this horrible advice, or you minimize what's happening, or you deny them that it's happening. And then when it comes to pass again that the conversation came up with you, you say, I don't remember this. I don't remember so-and-so even saying this to me. I don't remember so-and-so even coming to me telling me this was happening. So that's more minimization, more denial. And that person who talked to you realizes, like, what did we spend the 30 minutes doing then? Why are we like this? But back to Dr. York, whose name I don't mind saying, because this shit happened. It was public. It was in the news. And we're going to use this story and this case and this example as an example of how it goes in our community. So he touched all these kids with his accomplices. He do all this shit. And nobody cannot tell me that it did not happen, because I lived with Dr. York on the Kadesh compound. Okay? And I had access to Dr. York. And those stories, I'm going to put them in my book. I'm going to have a book and I'm going to write these stories. I'm not going to give y'all these details because y'all not going to do me. Y'all, oh, baby, I done learned. Y'all not going to do me. So I'm going to do what smart people and intelligent people who have knowledge of self, who have their experiences do. It's my experience, so I get to talk about it. It's my experience, so I can sell it if I want to. It's my experience, so I can write it and sell it. It's my experience, I can create a coloring book. It's my experience, I can create a whole breakfast cereal line about it if I want to, because it's my experience. And your belief in it, your participation in it, your acknowledgement of it does not matter. Now, I've gotten there because I went through the stages of victim, survivor, Now I thrive. Now I'm living. So I can talk my shit. But there's a lot of victims and there's a lot of survivors who are not there yet. And I'm doing this for y'all. Y'all may not like it. This may trigger you. I hope it don't trigger you in a negative way. But I want you to know that there are people who are listening to you. There are people who say no more. There are people who will hurt somebody over somebody hurting you. Believe that. We are out here. We are not nobody's punks. We are not bowing down. What we're saying is not in my community. If I'm going to play the game and be alive in the matrix and participate in the games and the funds, then I get to participate in the battles and the wars. And the battle and the war that I'm going to participate in this lifetime is in fuck abuse. We're not finna be abusing each other. We're not finna be doing that now while I'm here, because I'm here. And I ain't down with it. My energy is not in alignment with abuse of minors, women, men, children, animals, plants, the planet. I'm not in alignment with it. So anytime there's abuse happening financially, emotionally, physically, mentally, in any way that abuse can happen around me, it's like that movie. I don't know if y'all know that movie Ghost Rider. When he in the presence of evil, he got to eat their souls. That's me. When I'm in the presence of people who be abusing others and mistreating others for no damn reason, I got to eat that soul. I got to go in there and I got to get that soul. You know what I'm saying? I got to get that energy. I'm going to eat that. That's my Kali Ma. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got that energy in me. I got that. So if you're listening to this and you've been abused, man, don't even worry about it. If you're not where I'm at, don't even worry about it. Either you going to get where I'm at, or it's good to know it's people like me around. So if you never get to the point where you feel like you can all the way deal with it and fight, guess what? It's people like me out here who going to fight for you. Believe that. And we going to make these podcasts and we going to create these articles and these books and these healing modalities, because this shit is extra. Why are we like this in our community? Because the person's a celebrity, because this person's a man of power, a woman of power, they couldn't have touched nobody's child. They couldn't have abused nobody. Man, I reject that. And I reject the idea that it's not okay to talk about, that it's taboo to talk about. Dr. York touched them kids, y'all. You might not like it. You might not believe it. But guess what? You wasn't there. I was, and so was a few other people who are brave enough to say the shit happened and it should have never happened. It's a lot of men, wives that Dr. York slept with, manipulated, seduced, broken up families over the shit. But we don't want to talk about that because if it's children, then it's one thing. It's a child. They don't remember right. It's a government conspiracy. But if it's your black ass and your wife, right, we could talk about that. That's adults. That's adults. And ain't anybody going to tell you as an adult that someone didn't do something to you that affected your adult life, okay? You might could run that game to some child and be like, oh, it didn't happen to that child like that or whatever. But you're not going to tell no whole adult who was abused as an adult person and family was bust up as an adult person that it didn't happen. I bet you won't. I bet you won't. Y'all run that game with people who was children when shit happened and try to minimize their stories, but you ain't going to run that game with no adult. Not no adult man anyway. Y'all try it with women, like with the case in point Bill Cosby and stuff like that. Oh, these women lying. Oh, they just wanted a career. Oh, you find any excuse to say that woman wanted to be abused. And I know that because when I was getting my ass beat in my marriage and I would tell people, this was happening, they'd be like, well, maybe you shouldn't say this or maybe you shouldn't do that. Like as if it was because I said this or wore that or did this or whatever, I deserve to get beat up by my husband. Come on, man. Why are we like this? So this was, real heavy, I think. But it's the kind of heavy we need to be dealing with. So in today's episode of Why Are We Like This, we wanted to deal with why in our community do we deny, minimize, over-explain, create excuses for the perpetrator, do all this type of stuff with people, specifically our children, our youth, men and women. Why do we handle them this way? Why do we treat people who have been touched by financial, domestic violence, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual trauma, childhood sexual trauma, childhood abuse, neglect? Oh my God, we can't even go into deadbeat dads. We cannot even talk about deadbeat dads because on Father's Day, everybody want to get mad and tell women they not fathers. Being a father is a role. Okay? It's a role. It's a role. Anybody could be a sperm donor. Anyone could be an egg donor. Mother and fathershiphood are roles. You have to do certain things to be a mother or a father past having a child or putting sperm in someone's body that creates a child. That does not make you a father or a mother. That makes you a biological donor. Right? So when a woman is saying she is her children's father because she works, emotionally takes care of the children's needs, provides everything they need, that means she is in the role of fathership. If a man is a single dad and he's emotionally there for his children, doing the hair, taking them to get the hair done, providing meals, providing nurtureship, he is a mother. He is also a mother. He can celebrate Mother's Day. Those women can we stop with the bullshit with each other? Oh, you can't be no father. I'm gonna go live and talk about this on my Facebook channel, so hopefully you catch this live. But y'all, we gotta cut the shit out. I don't know why we are like this, but we are like this and it needs to stop. So in today's episode, share this with someone you know who may be going through this challenge to let them know that they are not alone and we are out here as warriors and as thrivers and livers who say, not on my watch, baby. If I'm going to live the life game and participate in this holographic reality, one thing that I'm not going to stand for is the abuse of children, minors, or anybody who look like me. Point blank. Period. Okay? If you are in yourself an abuser or someone who know you've minimized the abuse of others, just stop it. Just stop it. And if you feel like you got a problem, go get some private help. Hell, DM me. I'll help you. I'll help you figure it out. I'm a life coach. Yes, certified. I'm an ordained minister. You need someone to talk to. You think you're going to touch somebody's child and you just having a moment, hit me up. We'll find a way so you don't have to do that no more. The point is, we need to ask why are we like this and then begin the process of healing it. Acknowledging it. Calling the shit out. for the purpose of healing and elevating our community. And then maybe when we are doing this and loving ourselves and loving our community, we'll actually have a pot to stand on and a pot to piss in, maybe when it comes to the collective, as it relates to other genetic beings on this planet, as it relates to other political beings on this planet. We might actually have a dog in the fight, as they say, if we get our shit together. So I'm not going to go any further with this conversation because I think it's very self-evident what I'm saying. And we may have a part 2 in a few more episodes because I feel like we're going to have a few episodes of these until we understand in our community that the abuse and the degradation of our children and our community leaders and people in our community, just us, our collective us, regardless of whether we had unity in the past or unity coming for us, regardless of all of that, we do not need to be hurting one another anymore. And that's a fact. Okay? So be good to yourself today. Be good to someone else if you can do it. And, remember that it's not about the destination, it's the journey. And on this journey, we're going to come across all kinds of stuff. And it's for us to be in love with life to a point where we can really participate in life and be a positive participating energy. Even if that means addressing some negative shit. All right, y'all? So be well today. Be good to yourself. Be good to today. Be good to someone else, like I said. And even though this was a heavy topic, it's still heavy. I'm trying to let y'all go. I can't even let y'all go because it's so important. It's so important. Can't tell me that I got to play the game of life and be participating in politics and voting and healthy eating and drink my water, but then I can't talk about children and other people who look like me being abused. Nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to bring awareness. And that's why I started my podcast of Why Are We Like This? To bring awareness to the bullshit and the bullshit ass antics that's in our community, in the collective African American community, in the collective West Indian American community, the collective brown people community, the collective community that genetically got all this melanin that we talking about. Melanin is popping, black don't crack, but then we treat each other like shit. Let's get into it, y'all. Why are we like this? Have a great day.